Hello there. My name's Mark, aka the Canardian, and I'm missing my co-host this week, but we're still going to chug forward with episode 46 of the Holocron Chronicles. And of course, I'm not flying solo. I have a very special guest. You may know him as Mostly Martinez. I know him as Josiah from the Mostly Star Wars podcast. Josiah, how you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. I'm obviously super excited to be part of the show. I love your guys' show. I'm always watching the videos. Such a great time. The last couple of guests that you guys had were amazing. So if you're expecting anything like that, feel free to already be disappointed because I am nowhere near as cool as them. But I am very grateful to be part of the show.
Not a chance. Not a chance. We've been talking for a few weeks to try to set this up, and I am so excited that you're able to join us and move things along and talk. We're in that weird zone right now of like Andor hasn't started. We're done with our rewatch, and what are we going to talk about? So we have something fun lined up, but first we're going to learn a little bit about you. I already introduced you as one of the hosts of the Mostly Star Wars podcast, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I just started recently a Star Wars podcast with a couple of buddies. We met through gaming, which was really cool. We were playing Apex Legends all the time, and after gaming, it slowly started like someone said something about Star Wars, and then the other one said something, and then we slowly started like talking back and forth and found out everybody was like real big fans. And from there, we just slowly started saying like, hey, we just talked for like half an hour about Star Wars. Like, like we could have just recorded that and made it a podcast. And we had talked about it for a long time, getting into that. I spend part of my time in Wyoming in the United States, and then partially in Maui, Hawaii in the US. And so a lot of times my schedule is kind of crazy. And so that kind of like held me back. But finally we were just like, we need to do it. We just got to sit down and do it. In that very first podcast, I was sitting there and I was just thinking to myself, like, I was meant for this. I was meant to sit here in front of my computer with a couple of buddies and talk about Star Wars. And so ever since we've just, we've been having a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are, you can tell that you're just having fun and you're passionate and stuff. It's awesome. So great to see. I hope you keep going with it. I hope the schedule kind of works out. It's nice to have a couple of co-hosts as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I love bringing guests onto this. This show, I kind of really wanted to focus it around the guests and have that kind of thing. So if myself or Charlie had to take a week off like Charlie did this week, then there's still another voice. There's still someone there. There's always that third chair, even with a rotating third chair. But with you guys as like a kind of a solid team, one of you can step back. It's kind of nice to have that kind of balance. And if you ever need a guest though, hit me up.
For sure.
It's funny. Like you talked about finding your people through gaming, and that's kind of how we connected through Sean Capri's We the Gamer Cast. We're both gamers. We kind of messaged after each other's episodes. I heard your episode, you heard mine. It was kind of like, hey, we both love Star Wars, we both love gaming. Let's make something happen. And it's awesome, man. I love that cross section because that's my passions is gaming and Star Wars and podcasting. So we're meshing. We're lining up. This is great.
Yeah. Super excited.
So aside from the Star Wars podcast, I want to find out your Star Wars roots. The Star Wars video game. Let's keep going with this. So how did you first get into Star Wars?
Yeah. So I feel like my story is really unique because I haven't met very many other people. Well, I've not met anybody. I'm sure there's people out there that have a similar story, but I've never met someone that got their Star Wars start with the Caravan of Courage. So those were the first movies, those little Star Wars stories, Battle of Endor, like those two movies.
That's your origin?
those were the first ones we rented. My parents rented them. I was a kid, obviously, and we watched those like a ton of times. We just kept renting it. Finally, they're like, okay, we're spending way too much money renting these movies. We're just gonna buy them. So I have one older brother. We'd watch those movies over and over. Obviously, Wicket was my favorite. Like I fell in love with Wicket, and those stories. Now watching them back, they're so cheesy, right? But that's how I got into Star Wars. And I didn't watch the original trilogy until episode 1 came out in theaters, and we went the very first week. Me and my brother, we were like, oh man, this is like the best thing ever. We loved episode 1, The Phantom Menace, when it came out. Just the experience of that, Star Wars, in the theater and everything. And then my parents were like, I think it was even my mom was just like, oh yeah, I remember going to like the first Star Wars movie when I was young too. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
And
no,
she's
we
like,
just
yeah,
saw episode 1.
yeah,
What are you talking about?
this is the movie. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, there was 3 movies that came out before that. It was like, what? So anyways, that was when I first saw the original trilogy. And from there, just Star Wars, everything, books, comics, anything I could lay my hands, listen to, or read, I was all in.
That is amazing. We've been doing 46 episodes of this show, and I thought I heard everything. Because I thought, like, we've had people that are like, no, man, episode 1's the best, or this episode's the best, or I saw it in this order, or I got my intro with Battlefront 2, or what. That one is new, man. That is unique. I love it. That is fantastic. So, okay, wait. I have to stick on this for a second. What year are we talking about here where you only lived on those Ewok experiences?
Yeah.
Like how many years gap until you saw episode 1?
I would say probably a good 4 years. I didn't know that Star Wars existed outside of the moon and Endor.
I love that. That is amazing. Your parents never once for 1 second were like, hey, maybe we should introduce them to like why this exists.
Yeah.
Like until you saw episode 1 in the theaters, and then they were like, oh shit, yeah, Jar Jar, that reminds me. Luke Skywalker did some stuff back in the 70s. Maybe you should watch that. Holy shit, man. That's amazing. I love it. I love that. That is one of the more unique Star Wars takes I've ever heard. That's
I mean, like I said, so Wicket is like, he's always going to hold like a special place in my heart, because that's like where I fell in love with Star Wars. That was my origin story. And Warwick Davis, right? Like he it's so amazing that he's been able to be part of so many different shows and movies, and all the way through the newest trilogy. It was so awesome to see him, and now his real son be able to be in the concluding moments of Rise of Skywalker. It's just it was kind of like came full circle for me, as a kid growing up with watching those movies of him as a kid. So yeah,
amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, so this is going to be a weird one, because what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I have no idea where you're going to go with this.
And man, that's always a tough one, because I feel like a lot of times movies play on different times in your life, I could say, kind of. And I go a little bit back and forth between a few, but I think I would have to say still episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
All right.
It's just, I think going back to, The Phantom Menace was my first experience in the theater, right? And so those movies were like my Star Wars movies, right? Where, I was old enough to have more of a passion for Star Wars and start doing like research and understanding different things. And so to see the start to the finish of episode 3, I feel like that was just so epic to see, you grow to love these characters, even if they make mistakes and do wrong things and, horrible things, but you feel for the characters. And I feel like, I think episode 3 always hits me the hardest, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's such great action, but yeah, you're right where you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Well, at that okay, no, yeah, you knew what was coming, yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
you
knew it
saw
was coming
episode
by
one,
then.
then saw the okay, right, okay, yeah.
I
I'm
didn't
like, oh
first
man, wait a
movie.
second, no, yeah, okay, so you knew what was coming, but it's
Yeah.
still it still hits you so
Yeah.
hard when and it still hits me. Like I said, we just finished our rewatch project, and even watching it this time, it was where we've had this like deep dive into some characters and some moments and how close things were to not going down the way they went down, and it was still so heartbreaking and everything to
Mm-hmm.
watch it
Yeah.
happen that way. Um, Favorite character? This is another one where I'm like, you could go anywhere.
Oh man, I think that question's always difficult because, when you think of like a character, you think of, there's like a base of like their story and, the things that they do, maybe, I guess their position in the galaxy, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you think that they are your role model. So they don't necessarily have to be like good or bad to be like your favorite character. I think, for instance, like if you think of like the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, like he was an
Mm,
amazing character, right? Like I wasn't openly like rooting for him,
right. Yeah.
but he's an
Like,
amazing character,
I
right?
really hope he blows up that children's hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
no.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so
get you. I get
like because I think that there's some characters that are a little shady.
you.
Instance, like Asajj Ventress, I think
Ooh, yeah.
a very unique character, and if you go by all of the comics and the books, and the movies and everything, her story is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
From like Jedi Padawan to then like assassin to learning to become a Sith and then a Night Sister and then kind of like back to being like kind of good and helping the Jedi in the Dark Disciples book,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of like she has a
A little
really
shady, but kind of
yeah,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
she has a really interesting like story. But I would say still, if I was pinned down to pick like everything all together, I have to go with Ahsoka because I
Oh,
loved I
okay.
loved seeing her character arc. I loved seeing
Mm-hmm.
her learning, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes, and in the end, choosing what she felt was right.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't have to necessarily follow the Jedi code. But she was doing what she felt was right, type situation. I feel like she's really similar to like Qui-Gon Jinn,
Very.
where he follows the Jedi code, but at the same time, he still like feels what he feels is right, and he'll go for that. A lot of
Yeah.
times, that maybe might be semi against.
Two characters that I think would have fit in way better back in like the High Republic days,
Yeah.
where you could kind of follow your own Jedi path, follow your own path through the Force, and not be so strict and stringent with the rules and with the council and exactly what they say to the letter. I
Hmm.
think would have benefited from going back several generations, but yeah,
Yeah.
we got what we got. But two very interesting choices with Asajj and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Two awesome female characters in Star Wars that
Hmm.
I can't wait to see the Ahsoka show. I'd love
Yeah.
Asajj to be in some more live action stuff, maybe even
Hmm.
flashbacks. I think it'd be interesting in
Yeah. Now
Ahsoka.
that they
So we'll
teased
yeah
Quinlan Voss, right?
yeah.
And so that was the two main characters of that book.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very interesting. Very interesting. We'll keep some fingers crossed. Again, I'm not. I think I kind of got a sense. I'm not sure. Light side or dark side? If you got some force powers tomorrow morning, which way are you leaning?
yeah, man, it's tough because I think you actually changed my mind a little bit now that I'm thinking about this, because what you said about like the High Republic and stuff, because
Mm-hmm.
I think it does make a difference what time of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
what time of maybe like the Sith, school and stuff like that way back in the day. But as far as like powers go, I mean, dark side powers would be pretty fun.
We've got another one going. You're seeing that force lightning, and you're just being like, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. All right. Okay. I see you yellow-eyed demons.
Yeah.
That's. We've had so many on the show that are like, I don't know, man. I'd like to be good, but force lightning's just way too good to pass up. I just like, all right, fine, do what you do, man. I'm not going to judge you. That's great. What's your lightsaber color of choice?
Oh man, my favorite color just always is green. And just obviously iconic lightsaber through the movies as well. I think green for me is just, it's such a beacon of hope and stuff. On top of it just being my favorite color, I'd have to go green.
Ditto. All right, good stuff. Yeah, you redeeming that dark side, lightning blowing up children's hospital stuff. No, I think that's good stuff. Yeah. Leaving the powers aside, or maybe leaning straight into the powers, what's your favorite like affiliation? This could be anything: Jedi, bounty hunters, Sith, rebels. Do you want to go hang out with the Ewoks? Is that your favorite kind of like group? Like, what's your favorite like hang in Star Wars? What's your group of choice?
I feel like for what seems like a fun group just to like hang out, chill with, is like the bounty hunters. You think, because you think even like of like a young Boba Fett, right? When he's like maybe like teen to like early 20s and he's kind of just becoming his own, right? He's already like starting to make a name for himself, but it just seems like it'd just be such like a fun time. It's kind of like a comparison of like a Han Solo, but with extra abilities, right? It's kind of like a you're like a smuggler on steroids, basically.
A smuggler who can kill people.
Yeah.
I like it. It does. Yeah, there's something about the bounty hunters in Star Wars, and I've never seen like Dog the Bounty Hunter and been like, yeah, that's a group I want to hang with.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not like, it's just not a thing on Earth. But like, you see, some dude in a bucket helmet and a jetpack, and you're like, yeah, him and that weird lizard guy. Yeah, I want to hang out with them for a minute. Hold on.
You know, and then Mandalorian is just bringing like, all new like fame and praise, and like honor to like the bounty hunter ranks, for all these new generation of Star Wars fans.
Absolutely. There's a reason the helmet's behind me. I love the show, the character, and it's just making the bounty hunters. You're right on. It seems aside from the whole like cutthroat, I'm gonna kill you to get the bounty instead kind of thing. But if you could find like a chill group of bounty hunters that are all kind of just like, you know what, man, you take this one, I'm gonna get the next one. There's enough bounties to share. There's a whole bunch of sketchy people in the galaxy. We'll collect them all. It's like, that might be the Pokemon fan in me, is just like, like, oh, well, gotta catch them all. That's a bounty hunter. I'm just going throwing balls at people. It's fun stuff. That's it. Carbon freezing. No. I'm going to squeeze them all in this little ball.
Yeah.
Man, awesome. I had no idea where you're going with any of those answers. That was spectacular. Let's jump in the news, because I'm highly entertained with what you just said. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
So I know we talked a little bit before we started recording. I know you're a fan of the Bad Batch. We had some weird kind of will they, won't they with the Bad Batch season 2. So it was supposed to drop the end of September. Then it was strangely absent when Disney released their like, here's what's coming in September list of like Thor, Love and Thunder, and She-Hulk, and this and that and whatever. And then just today, they added it back in Australia first, but I think it's been confirmed afterwards that like, this is dropping September 28th on Disney Plus. Like, let's go. So cool. Okay. Awesome. So I'm guessing this is going to be Wednesdays, because it is dropping Wednesday the 28th. Are you excited for the Bad Batch? What are your expectations for season 2?
Oh man, I'm super hyped for the Bad Batch. I think as far as like animated series goes, season 7 of the Clone Wars was just so amazing, and we had like that few episode arc of the Bad Batch, right? So that was kind of like our, kind of like quick dive into them and kind of get excitement right for the show. And the show, like for me, was so amazing. I mean, that first episode, there was like a movie. It's like an hour and 20, and like, oh man, it was just, the way that they portrayed Order 66, with like Caleb and Valava, and, then like through the eyes of the Bad Batch and the other clones there. And it was just, oh man, they hit you in the feels so many times throughout that. And then we get the introduction of Omega. And, I love her character. She's so amazing. And, Michelle Ang, who voices her, an amazing person. And we got a little bit of a tease right at the celebration where she said that she was like, I'm like, I want armor. Can I get some armor or something? And they said, yeah. And so, yeah, once we got like the teaser and we get to see her in some armor with her bow, yeah, I am hyped to see some more Omega, maybe like running some missions, maybe with like one or two of the different Bad Batch. But either way, yeah, that I love, like, it's kind of like a more, it kind of reminds me maybe like of a, I don't want to say like dark, but it's kind of like seedy, of like animated. It's not so like bright, as like some of the other ones, even like Rebels, where it's like, here's the moral of the story, right? It's kind of like, it's telling you how it is, like probably how Andor is, I'm assuming. Andor's it's gonna tell you the truth, even if it's gonna be hard, right? And so yeah, I'm super hyped for season 2 of the Bad Batch.
And I have kind of like the only thing with the Bad Batch, I found it highly entertaining for season 1, and but and I loved it. And I loved the characters, but the whole time through season 1, if something felt kind of like a I'll say filler episode ish, I always thought, no, they're going to tie this back to something. We'll see why this pays off. We'll see why that character came in. So that's the only thing I'm hoping with season 2. And I don't know how many seasons they have planned for this, but I kind of want to see a bit of that bigger picture.
Yeah.
Or, where some of these seeds are being planted or how they're being planted. And I mentioned this with Mando an episode or two ago, where we've seen them plant like the force cloning and that kind of stuff that ties into, where we saw in Rise of Skywalker and whatever. So Mando is great on its own, but when it ties into something bigger, that's kind of even better for me. And I don't know if that's the plan for Bad Batch. It might just be like, here's a cool cartoon during a seedy kind of underbelly time in the universe. Like, let's see what happens and follow this. But I'd love, we have Omega, we have Boba Fett. Like they have to clash at some point. I kept expecting her to show up live action in the Book of Boba Fett, maybe season 2, and maybe this will kind of start to lean in it. But those two have to meet and clash, and something has to happen there. I want that bigger picture rather than like mission of the week, I guess.
Yeah, no, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And I think a lot of times I'm very forgiving when it comes to like filler episodes. And what I like to call them is like character building episodes, right? And, because you can come back and be like, oh, well, I guess that episode is good because, for instance, Omega learned that she can, kind of be like Hunter and hunt. And, episode 3, there was pretty much a filler episode. And things like that. But I will agree that they drop some cool stuff, right? Because I mean, they have like Fennec Shand in there. They have, like some other, big characters just pop out in your face, and you're like, what? Like they're in here. You have Saw Gerrera in there, which was amazing. But yeah, I totally agree. I want to see like a live action Omega. And like maybe, like you said, maybe like in a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, because there's another connection besides them being like the Alpha and Omega that they brought out in the show. Like Boba Fett's the Alpha, she's Omega, but also we have Fennec Shand, who actually has, depending on how you want to look at it, some sort of feelings towards Omega, right?
Yeah.
Kind of almost like a protector in a way.
Yeah.
And so that'd be amazing, like to meet up, even if Fennec Shan introduces them to, because now we know they both know each other.
And that was the whole thing. I was waiting for that in the Book of Boba Fett, of something like, "Oh, you're exactly like your sister,"
Yeah.
and him to be just like, "What did you just say? Like,
Yeah,
what,
that'd be
you
crazy.
didn't know about this?" Like, like I expected some little thing to drop, like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, do you know where Omega is? Like, I haven't seen
Yeah.
her in years." And like just something, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't really get that. So I'm
Or maybe
wondering. Yeah, I hope
Ahsoka.
they'll build some. And
Yeah.
yeah, could be Ahsoka. Hell, there could be a Jedi Fallen Order. We could see Cal pop up somewhere and BB-8
Yeah.
and just cross paths with the clones. So there's so much
Mm-hmm.
they could do with this season. I'm very excited for it to
Yeah.
happen, and we don't have to wait too long,
Yeah.
under a month as we
Mm-hmm.
record this. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
In less awesome news, we got kind of confirmation through an interview this week that John Boyega is pretty much seemingly done with Star Wars. He did make an offhanded joke. He'll come back when he's 79 and be like, "Chewie, we're home," kind of have his own Han Solo coming back moment. Presumably, like the joke was like to die later in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like the end of it. Like, yeah, I'll come back for one more and just kill me. But seemingly, this is kind of the end of at least John's part of Finn's story. Now, he did
Mm-hmm.
mention he'd love to see the character live on through video games, comics, cartoons, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of where I posed the question to both Twitter and Discord, and we got some great responses. And of course, Josiah, I want to know what you think of this. But my question is, how would we handle Finn if they do more movies with the cast, or what do you hope that they do with this? Is this kind of the end? Like, is this the end of this sequel era of films? At least, we can continue going with cartoons or whatever, but like, does the next trilogy or the next couple of movies, like, do they have to do another time jump? Does it have to be something completely different?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if Daisy or Oscar or anyone would return if Finn can't return. If John
Right.
says no, like, is he saying no for everyone? Or, if they sign up with a good director and a good story, could they get him back? Who knows? Like, the
Mm-hmm.
future right now is unknown, but like, how would we handle it? So I'm going to read some responses
Yeah.
first, and then you and I can kind of share what we think. So the first one comes from Kristen Loves Star Wars at SW Gamer Girl on Twitter. She said, absolutely no recasting. But also, I think I saw where John Boyega said he'd be up for working with Jon Favreau or J.J. Abrams. So I wonder if that, I think I've seen that before, but this interview, I think, kind of superseded those past interviews where he said, like, yeah, I'd come back for a good story. I'd work with Kathleen. I'd work with JJ. Love. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like he has since changed his mind on that. I don't know if that's exactly the case, but anyway, we'll we'll assume that is the case. But I would love that. Yeah, if they had a good director and a good story, like I said, I hope maybe that could convince him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Jhouse at Jhouse Comics on Twitter said, I would have convinced him to come back because Finn would become a Jedi, as he should have before. John wouldn't deny the chance to do that. So Jhouse thinking, bring a good enough story back, give John what he wanted from the start, a big arc, a final character arc, rather than just that little force sensitive tease.
Yeah.
And hopefully that would convince, and that's, I'm kind of hoping. We've got Insipid Ghost, Luke. Luke did an awesome interview if you're a gamer, on his Xbox expansion pass, with Seamus Blackley.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. Luke, thank you for writing this in this one, and keep going with the great stuff you're doing on that show. But he said, do nothing with Finn until Boyega agrees to return on his terms with a script and budget to suit. Kylo, Rey, and Finn all deserve more story on a smaller, less galactic level, so their efforts in the main trilogy are better appreciated. As it stands, all three feel rushed right now. There's another comment on Discord that I'm going to jump to because I think it kind of mixes with that really well. So we have AJPazz on our Discord. Alex, thanks for writing in. I think you wait and hope some director can get him to come and maybe even do an animated series. I'll interject right there. I think animated series might be the way to go with Finn's with any of these characters moving forward. We see how much fun they're having in the Lego stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But yeah, Alex continues. I feel like that would be the best way to carry on with these characters. Just think what Clone Wars did for the prequels. Yep. They are now loved, and I can tell you they weren't minus the fight scenes that loved when they first came out. So maybe a Clone Wars style series is the best thing. And if he doesn't want to reprise his voice, you get a good voice actor, just like they did in the Clone Wars for so many characters. And again, some voice actors that came back for the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, which we're going to talk about in a second. That way the character can live and get the recognition he deserves, and then maybe come back. Just like we just got Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen. They're happy to come back. The fans love them. We're appreciative, like we should have always been. And there we go. Famous Seumas on Discord said, honestly, I think Disney and Lucasfilm need to move on. Let the past die, kill it if you have to. He continues with, it would be neat to see some extra stories of these characters, but if the actors don't want to reprise their roles, they should put those characters to rest. Sure, in some things like shows and games, you can recast Finn, but if they recast him in live shows/movies, that would be a massive slap in the face to John Boyega after all that he and the other cast members had to deal with from other Star Wars fans. Seamus included those quotes. I'm going to throw those quotes out there because if you gave any of these actors some shit, you're not a Star Wars fan. At me. Let's go. I think so. Sure. Seamus continues. I think the first Akiro said it best in his new video that Disney need to move on from the Skywalker saga and the rebellion and do new things in the Star Wars universe. If you haven't watched Akiro's video on John Boyega is done with Star Wars and the future of the franchise, go check it out. It's an excellent video. Akiro's been on the show a couple of times and puts things in a very succinct way that only he can. So absolutely spectacular. If you haven't checked that one out on YouTube. What else do we have? And of course, my Twitter's frozen and will not scroll anymore. There we go. All right. So I think we're almost caught up to everything. Yeah, we have a couple of like agrees and likes on other things. But that's kind of it. Like that's it from people that wrote in. So thank you if you wrote in. That was a great amount of responses and notes from everyone on Twitter and Discord. If you're not following me on Twitter, we'll let you know how to do that later. But if you and same thing, if you're not in our Discord already, come join and be part of the discussion and these kind of fun questions and stuff that we try to throw out. With all that said, though, Josiah, what do you think the best way to go forward with all of this is?
Yeah, I think, when that came out, when that news came out, I wasn't surprised, based unfortunately on how some of the fans reacted, through the movies of Finn's character. And I can understand the frustration. And I when Luke on Twitter said what he felt, I thought that I said I agreed because I do like that idea. If they are going to do it, I think that, all those characters, Finn, Kylo, Rey, all of them, I think, as actors as well, should feel comfortable of where the path is going because, we heard so many different interviews and, he said, she said's from the characters about the sequel trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, someone's like, yeah, I didn't really like where they were going with my character, or I didn't even know where my character was going, right? And so I feel like there was so much confusion even within like the script and things like that, where it's like, so it's not even fair to say, hey, I don't like that they kept on teasing that Finn had force powers but then never did anything with it. You know, I don't
Right.
like that Rey hardly ever talked, you know, and just like crazy stuff
Yeah.
that people were bringing up about these different characters, or like Kylo. And I will admit, like, I felt similar as far as like, I think the characters should have had more time, like, to develop certain things, which would have
Mm-hmm.
made different moments feel more epic. Or, you know, you don't even get any build up to Kylo becoming the supreme leader, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, he is the
This
supreme
happens.
leader now, right? Like,
Yep.
and then we're just like, oh, okay, like, it would have been cool to like see something more of like, or him being a throne or something,
Mm.
right? Or like telling the Knights of Ren, like, hey, go and like get this for me, and they're like, yes, or whatever, you know, yes, supreme leader, you know.
We didn't see enough of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Like, just, you know, dropping their name into this. Like,
Uh-huh.
we come
Yeah.
on. They're more of those like badass looking Star Wars characters that you see and you're just like, I need to know everything. What did they eat for like lunch
Yeah.
a week ago? Let alone
Uh-huh.
like, are they force sensitive? Do they have, you know, like where did they get their weapon? Well, who are these things?
Yeah.
And what do they do in the galaxy? Why are they so well known? And it's just like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like
And yeah, what,
a
like
couple of
Snoke straight
scenes of
at
them, like,
Snoke is saying, like, you're the leader of the Knights of Ren. Like, Snoke is impressed, or at
yeah,
least giving him praise of like him doing something great, but then we never hear anything really about him,
yeah,
you know? So it's like, I understand like what he's saying about like in the sequel trilogy, they all felt rushed. And so I
mhm,
feel like, yeah, if they were going to do something in live action, that it would need to be fleshed out a lot better. And like, maybe like he's saying, maybe not so huge, to, you know, maybe give like backstory to all these that would help, you know, if maybe like a show or something like that.
mhm,
But, you know, you mentioning animated, and as great as they've been doing with these animated shows, I would love to see all of them like in an animated show as well, like in even like the same art style as like the Bad Batch. I think
yeah,
that would be great. And we in my podcast, we were just talking about how it seemed like there was a pretty big gap of like no animated Star Wars, you know, like for a little bit, you
yeah.
know. And so I was like, yeah, that'd be great to have more animated, you know, to kind of mix in with the live. I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, would you, if they did go like sequel trilogy cast in an animated show, would you rather that happen kind of in between those movies like the Clone Wars did, or would you rather here's what happens after maybe a few flashbacks or something like that? Like, you know, we get to see what Rey was doing in between Force Awakens and yeah, the like kind of when where like Galaxy's Edge takes place, you know, that happens in
Mm-hmm.
between movies. That's why we don't get, sadly, we don't get Finn in Galaxy's Edge because technically he's still in that coma that he wakes up for in the Last Jedi. And yeah, so like, would you rather that kind of stuff, or do you want it like afterwards? Like again, like
Yeah.
these Lego non-canon things are taking place.
Yeah, I would feel like it would be like better, and you know, the writers and of it would be able to have more liberties if it was later. And like
Mm,
you said, maybe like some flashbacks would be cool, but for instance, like Finn, I don't think it'd be that interesting for his character really, you know. And there's not very much time between those movies, right?
mm,
It all takes place in like a year, a couple years, right?
yeah.
You know, so it's, I kind of feel like it would be better after, with like you said, like some flashbacks. It'd be kind of cool like to see for instance Finn's character, like flashbacks to you know, before the Force Awakens, where
Yeah.
he's kind of like like in training. And there's like the deleted scenes of the trooper that got killed was actually his friend, his
Hmm.
buddy. And so like having some flashbacks of that, like, you know, making friends and them deciding like, is this a good thing, is it a bad thing, is this the right thing to be doing, is there any escape from this type
Hmm.
situation. For, you know, for Kylo, I would love flashbacks of Kylo being Ben, for sure. Like I'd love to see that. And we're going to talk about that later in Summer Vacation. But I'd love to see some of that, Ben being Ben. And then, for Rey, definitely after. I mean, she just created one of like the sickest lightsabers seen in live action, and then we don't even get to see her use it. Like, come on.
Yeah, when she turned that on, it flashes the blue, green, and then lights up yellow. It was like, what does this mean? Movie over, series over.
And then she has like that cool slide. Like, shit. Oh man.
That's it. Like, come on, Star Wars, give us more. I completely agree. I would, if this is actually the end, if there's no chance that John Boyega is coming back for Finn, clearly the character of Finn resonated with me while I was watching The Force Awakens. I named my son Finn. I have FN2187 etched into the back of my iPad. Like, it is a character. Finn is a character that means a lot to me. And I mentioned in the last episode where there are some things that character-wise, he had some cool moments.
Yeah.
Becoming the co-general, doing this, doing that. And but from an actor perspective, from what he was promised, what we were kind of all promised as fans of him holding the lightsaber in Force Awakens, I want more.
Yeah.
So if John's officially done, I would love to see it continue in a cartoon, or give me a video game, or even a comic book or something where they're like, here's Jedi Finn, here's his training, here's what they're doing, here's what he and Jana are going around and getting other Force sensitive ex-stormtroopers and building up this part of the Order while Rey's doing her thing. And this, like, I want to see that. And I think Alex is right on Discord. Like, think about what that did, what the Clone Wars did for the prequel movies. Think about even years later, them bringing back the final season of Clone Wars and what that did and how good that was.
So epic.
And and if that kind of emotion, and I honestly, I think the Clone Wars and the love for that series and kind of like a renewed love with Disney Plus for that series was instrumental in bringing back Ewan McGregor and Hayden for Obi-Wan. Yeah. And I think, if that's the case, let's go. Cartoon, let's go. And with that being said, let's jump in to the latest non-canon, sadly, cartoon. So the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation came out a few weeks ago. We kind of skipped right past it because we were in the middle of all our rewatch stuff, but we're going to tackle it right now. And if you haven't had a chance to watch this, now's your chance to duck out. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time. But we're going to go straight into spoilers and everything else for this. This is a fairly short movie. If you haven't, I'm sure anyone listening to this has seen at least something from Lego. They don't take themselves super seriously, but they also have kind of started coming up with this stuff. We saw it in the Christmas holiday special last year of like Rey's training Finn to be a Jedi. In this one, like 100% confirmed several times that Finn is officially a Jedi. We're going to talk about some stuff. So let's dial it back for a second. What did you think about this one overall? How was your experience with Summer Vacation?
Yeah, so I'm just like a big Lego fan in general, the actual Legos, so and the Lego video games, things like that. The Lego Star Wars, like the last couple movies that they made, like you said, I don't think I really came into them being like, oh, this is going to be so amazing. But I came away being like, that was actually really good. And I was kind of the same with this one. I do have kids. I have a 6-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. And so whether I wanted to watch this or not, it was going to play on repeat. I watched it multiple times, little bits and pieces, lots of times. And, it had me laughing. There was moments where there was a lot of heart in there. And yeah, like you said about Finn, and since we're talking about Finn's character, I love that for this. I love that. It was really his journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was his journey. He was trying to bring everybody together, and he was learning all these lessons, from Force Ghosts and everything like that. And once again, just canon or not, like to me, like he's a Jedi, like
Mm-hmm.
like
100%. Yeah.
like
No,
like
that's
that,
yeah.
it, and no matter what anybody says, like that is what it is. Throughout like the sequel movies, I felt that, and that's what I believed about him. And I love that there was like the tease at the end where he was just like, I have a feeling, it was a feeling, right? And so I love that. And so just moving now to this, canon or not, it was great to have him have these moments, even if it was like in a silly, like kind of like funny, hearty type of way. Like it was cool to have him have them different moments with these different Force Ghosts.
It was, and it made the news today. Like having to rewatch this for today's episode, and then realizing the news and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a couple of things where, like, watching everything you just said, but also like his line, like, "This is the last time we're going to be together." Now, in this movie, he's talking about like the war's over. Rey's going to go off doing Jedi stuff, and Poe's going to go off flying, and Rose is going to do, they're probably all going to separate for a little while, but hits a little bit harder. Now,
for real.
I did love the premise of this, like one last vacation kind of thing now that the war's over. And of course they're going to end up on the Halcyon because it's a Disney tie-in, and you can go stay in that freaking hotel where Kylo Ren was, conceived. That's possibly in canon where that happened. I haven't read that book yet, but it seems like that's where the honeymoon took place anyway. I'm gonna like edit this and insert like Star Wars 70s porn music.
It's like a bounce. Wow, wow.
Yeah, exactly. We did get to, of course, John Boyega wasn't back as a voice actor for Finn for this one, but we did get Kelly Marie Tran coming back to voice Rose. We got Billy D. Williams and Anthony Daniels reprising their characters, and like I mentioned before, Matt Latner and James Arnold Taylor coming back from Clone Wars to do Anakin and Obi-Wan, which again, like, I love Ewan McGregor. I love Hayden Christensen, but when I hear Obi-Wan or Anakin in my head, a lot of the times it's these voice actors, because there's so much Clone Wars cartoons just floating around in this skull of mine. Like, they defined it, and we could have more defining characters in an animated series. So again, sorry, that's it. But yeah, you mentioned some ghosts. So that's a good time. What were your favorite appearances? Ghosts or not, but what are some of your favorite appearances in this?
Oh man, there's just like some funny moments, but I think we already got the tease of it right at Celebration. But I think just seeing like Vader in his tank top, that was it was just so good.
The tank top, and then the Porg hat. If Disney starts selling that Porg hat in Galaxy's Edge, I'm booking a freaking flight, man. Like, come on. That was just this so big summer hat with Porgs in it. Like, shit. They didn't have to go that hard on Lego. Yeah. Come on, man.
I know. And I would say the kind of the second biggest one that was like, had me like laughing out loud was the Boba Fett appearance was just hilarious. I love that.
And just dropping the theme song in too, like, what are they even doing with, like, it always astounds me how much, like, I just feel like Disney can't say no. Like, someone's just like drinking, doing whatever drugs they need to do to come up with this stuff, and they write it, and they're like, "Hey, Disney, we're going to have Darth Vader in a tank top and a sombrero with porgs in it. And we're going to have Boba Fett dance, and Obi-Wan's going to sing karaoke." And like someone at Disney's just like, "Yeah, that
sounds
brilliant. That sounds really good." Like, what? What other company in the world can do that but Lego? It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
It's Obi-Wan, like just everything with Obi-Wan in this, his vacation, Ghost Obi-Wan coming to Finn and saying, like, he just confirmed, he was like, yeah, I'll come to a Jedi in need. They said it. Like, they just said it. And they like, man, they just said it. And then, frig. Yeah. But I have to say, my favorite appearance, we mentioned a whole bunch, but my favorite one I think has to be Weird Al.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't Weird Al show up on Scarif playing at a resort before they turn it into, Rogue One? Just holy crap. I love it. The new trailer for the new Weird Al movie with Harry Potter just dropped. That's a weird sentence.
Yeah.
That's I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Words don't even make sense. I'm talking about Harry Potter and Weird Al and Legos and Star Wars and summer beach hats. Any other favorite appearances?
Oh man, no, I think that, as far as like appearances go, those are probably like the big ones. I mean, I think as far as like, cool, like, scenes in there, moments, I think the family vacation of like the Organa solos, that was amazing. We touched on it a little earlier, but being able to see Ben, and people making fun of Ben, like that was that was hilarious. And then being like, you can't be flying my ship because his dad wouldn't even let him fly it. Someone else does, and he's like, don't touch my dad's dice. And just I don't know, just like the whole thing was amazing. Where they're like, let's have like one good family trip before, and once again, because it's going to happen. Just it actually it kind of makes it like a little. It kind of hits you a little bit, seeing like this, nice little family, it's going to happen. But
so it does obviously, that one last happy vacation before he goes off and, kills all the students and becomes a evil murderer. Hits that way. But during this rewatch, it hit me another way. Ben is older in this and is just starting Jedi training. And it seems kind of a respectable school age to like he's going off on like boarding school or something. He's not cut off from his family. Obviously he's kind of going with his uncle. Is this a little bit better? And I don't know if that was kind of an intentional, like we're not snatching him when he's a freaking toddler and training him to be a warrior. Like this is kind of like he knows some stuff now. He's old enough to kind of go off and do his own thing. Obviously it didn't turn out really well, but like if this was in canon, could that be a sign of like Luke realizing he can't do stuff the same way, realizing that like maybe the way he addressed Grogu is not the right way to build a school. Maybe he needs to change some of the Jedi teachings. Maybe he needs to fix some stuff, heal some stuff. Like there's some deeper levels to this that like on my first watch through, I thought the same thing as you. It was like, it's cool. It's a family vacation before he goes off to school. And then I was like, wait a second. Like, if Luke's following the Jedi way, like he was too old, apparently, according to Yoda, to start the training, or whatever. But like, is he kind of learning? Is this a change? Like, did he kind of learn? And we saw what happened with Grogu and stuff, and it just kind of like it got me thinking today. So it was, kind of a flip side of that coin of like, that didn't work out with Ben, but like, kind of was he almost onto something? So kind of an interesting way to wonder if like the Lego people were thinking of that, or they were just like, nah, frig it, let's throw in some Ewoks and have Ben fly the Millennium Falcon, whatever. So what was your favorite of the mini stories? So we got Obi-Wan on vacation, we got Darth Vader and Palpatine ruining everyone's beach party, and we got the Solo family vacation, which as I just said that, I just kind of realized it would 100% fit into like a family vacation movie, like with the Griswolds. Yes. That's what I want from Star Wars. National Lampoon's Solo family vacation.
And they go back in there.
Canon.
Yeah, they're imagining, the way it was when they, Leia and Han were there last time. It's all like, like broke down. Everything is just perfect.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be so great.
So good.
And like, I mean, the Millennium Falcon's basically just a space Winnebago. Let's just
yeah, 100%.
call it what it is. So that we've got the pieces. Let's just complete the puzzle here, Disney. So which one of those was your favorite mini story, or like Finn's story interdispersed within that? Which is your favorite part of this?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. I feel like each one like kind of like meant something a little different, to me. Because I do like the, once again, totally not canon and everything, but like Obi-Wan's vacation that isn't a vacation is just so like right on the nose with him. Like he can't not, like he can't just have a vacation, right? And how it ends up with him singing Gamorrean girls and Gamorrean guys. Just like what? Like it's unbelievable that that was pretty good, and I love the interaction between Finn and Obi-Wan. That was really good. But I'd have to say I still do think just the Vader Palpatine vacation it was so good. It played on their relationships with each other. It was, oh man, it was just awesome. And the Palpatine cheating to win all the different games, and then he had to pull out the zippity zappity. It's like every time he says that, it just kills me every single time. And then when he accidentally hits Vader, he's like, yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh man,
so good. So, and I love how that one started with Anakin. Like, why is a ghost scuba diving?
Scuba diving. Yeah, he got like the fins and everything.
He's a ghost. He doesn't need a breathing apparatus to scuba dive. Why would he scuba dive? He can do what he wants. And it's so silly. But I loved how that was it, because they needed a breathing gag. So they're like, here's a ghost with a scuba tank. Shut up, it's Star Wars. It's just, they don't care. It's amazing. I love it. It's hard to pick a favorite. I think my favorite bit, I do like all three of them for different reasons, but I think the Finn bits are kind of my favorite, of him learning those lessons in between. Like you said, him interacting with especially Obi-Wan Force Ghost is probably the highlight for me, especially because he's like, what was in that drink?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is kind of like a kid's thing, but it's like 100% like, I just got spiked. Like, what is happening right now? I'm hallucinating. This is great. Fantastic. So I think we already touched on this, but I have to ask, does some of this live now in your personal headcanon?
Yeah, well, I think what? Yeah, I think just once again, we've talked so much about like John and his character Finn, which we can all agree needed more, needed to be fleshed out more and needed more time to develop. He's such an amazing character, and then once again, I think I'm gonna take this that all of this stuff happened to Finn after. because I love it. I love that this could have happened. So now it did happen for me.
I like it. You know what? Until we're proved otherwise, and that's the great thing. Right now, we have nothing to disprove these Lego movies at all. So Darth Vader in a tank top, canon. Let's that is. But yeah, no. I mean, if I'm gonna take anything from this, it's Jedi Finn. That is 100% my takeaway as well. And I mean, the fact that Ben / Obi-Wan can't take a vacation and considers action a vacation, so that means the whole Obi-Wan show was also a vacation for him, like, oh yeah, I almost died 17,000 times rescuing this princess. It's fine. It's a vacation.
It was good.
Yeah, it was great. I got off the planet. Good stuff.
Everything with him and Luke too later. Vacation.
Great vacation. I died. It was fun. Yeah, he's got a weird sense of what's a vacation, what's not, but I like that. But yeah, no, I agree, man. This whole thing, canon. Let's go. Fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. I like what they do with the games, with these kind of goofy shorts. I hope Disney Plus keeps rolling these out regularly, at least fairly regularly, because it's a fun way to keep these characters going. They can do what they want with it, and it doesn't affect like the real canon, but like you can take little bits away. And again, they're not afraid to just do the wackiest shit, but some of it is like you think and you're like, yeah, why can't real Star Wars do this? And it's great, man.
Yeah, that just reminds me when you were talking about the Lego games or whatever, the newest Lego Skywalker saga. Man, I was playing through that. We've been playing that through that, me and my son. And oh my goodness, there's so many times where I'm just busting up laughing. They change a scene just the tiniest bit, and it just makes it so much funnier. It's, I don't know, like I can't even think of like scenes, but there's so many times where I'm just like busting up laughing, and he's even looking at me like, yeah, that was funny, but not that funny. Just like, it's so good.
They are amazing. And again, can't think of any other company that gets away with that kind of stuff. It's great. Yeah. This was a blast. I had such a great time with this episode. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me, man. You really brought out the fun in this episode.
Yeah, I super appreciate you asking me to be on. Like you said, we have been talking about it for a long time. So yeah, I was super hyped to finally come on and chat with you guys. Sadly, we lost one of our lovely co-hosts or whatever. Maybe next time we'll be able to get to chat a little bit more. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I super appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, next time we'll make sure Charlie's here so we get the whole gang together. But until then, let people know once again where they can find you and where they can follow you on the internet.
Yeah, so I'm usually on Twitter, just around on Twitter. I love video games and Star Wars, so I'm usually in any of those types of discords or discussions as well. But on Twitter, it's Martinez mostly. So that's where I am on Twitter. YouTube, like we had mentioned earlier, me and a couple of my buddies have a podcast, Star Wars podcast, which is mostly Star Wars. So if you look that up in YouTube, that's where that is. And a little shameless plug, as you'd probably know, but my son, who's 6, he started a YouTube channel. So he's kind of going to be doing all things. He's doing unboxings, he's doing Lego builds, he's going to be doing some gameplay like from the Switch and Stadia and things like that. But yeah, his channel is Hezekiah's Toys and Games, kind of a mouthful. But yeah, definitely show him some love and support. Obviously I'm a dad, so I'm always going to shout out my son, but yeah, that's where you can find me and my son.
He will be more well-known, and his stuff is going to take off more than both of our shows combined, I'm sure. No doubt whatsoever. Thank you once again for joining us. This was an absolute blast, man. We got to have you back when Charlie's here and talk more Star Wars. This was so much fun. You can follow Charlie at the C3. Spell it all out. Of course, everything's in the show notes as well. You can follow Secret Friends Unite at Secret Friends U, or visit secretfriendsunite.com. And you can follow me at _Canardian on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, wherever everything's. I'm really bad at TikTok when I'm trying to get better. So thank you so much for listening. May the Force be with you. Rex, play us out, you beautiful droid. And no one's going to sing because Charlie's gone, so I'm just going to end it right here. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.